Hey guys, it's Denise with Family K9 Training here in Orlando. We are doing a live today talking to you about off-leash freedom and answer your dog training questions if you have them. Let's see if we can get Katie on here. Hey replay viewers, thanks for watching. Bear with me if you're live so we can invite Katie. We're actually down on phone and internet, so I am mobile. Excuse if I am shaky. So, any dog training questions that you need answered, concerns, tips, we'll answer them tonight. It's not just the off-leash topic. That's the only one we have for tonight, so any questions for us, even if you're watching the replay, you can leave them down in the comments as well. And we'll take care of them for you on the next live or tonight. It'll probably be short if nobody else has a lot of questions. The off-leash stuff is pretty basic. And we'll talk about how we get the dogs off-leash, what it is that we do first, and what off-leash means. Off-leash doesn't necessarily mean that your dog can do everything with you off of a leash or off lead. There are leash laws, especially here in Florida, I believe everywhere in the country, about having your dogs confined. So, a form of confinement is having a leash on them and keeping them safe, obviously, and keeping the general public safe. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Let's see if she pops on here. I think I'm getting a request. Let's see. Have to wait a minute and she'll be on here. Either way, as she comes in, we'll start because I know she's gonna have some things that she wants to start off saying. But one of the very first things when a board and train comes in here, and some of them, oh, there she is.
Hello.
Hey, you can hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Got the phone on my knee here because we're out on internet and cable. So I'm glad I have the dependable good old Verizon. And I hope this doesn't freeze. And I am on 99% battery, so we're good.
Good.
I um I already said that we're going to do the off-leash freedom topic today. So I don't know if you had something in particular you wanted to start off with. I started chatting and then you came on to save the day.
Oh, well, chat for a second. I want to see if I can share this on my page.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
So what was I saying? Let's see. So when we train dogs off leash, I was saying that it's not just so they can be off of a lead and do everything, like free roaming style, but it's to have a dog that's dependable, especially when you call them. So I hit a little bit on leash law, but we're gonna get into like details. We start off with teaching the dog a foundation, obviously. You guys watch the videos. We train a lot inside first. I do some things outside. It just depends on the dog, depends on what they need. But most of the time is, indoors first, teaching them a foundation. And then we move on outdoors. And it sounds simple, but there's steps, a lot of steps in between that.
yeah,
Were you able to share it?
yeah, I just shared it. I think it worked.
Okay,
So
cool.
we'll see. Maybe some of my followers will head over here. Um, so
um,
do you want me to just I made some notes. Do you want me
yeah, I
to?
have none. I
Okay,
usually have notes. I have none.
okay, okay. So,
I've been through a lot. No, no, excuse me. No,
you have. It's been a rough
I
day.
figured it was simple enough, but yeah, I'll just wing
Yeah.
it.
So we talked about, the relationship being, what we need to build before we can really have a dog off leash. We
Yeah.
want to have some kind of relationship with the dog, a respect from them. And Usually the way we go about it, I think your program is similar to mine. We start with foundation training first. So it's
Mhm.
all, like you said, in the house in the beginning. And it's, you know, leash work first, leash pressure, and then we teach them sit and down and place command. Hey, everybody, it's good to see everybody on here. Place command, structured walking. There's a lot to it, kennel up, waiting for food, waiting at thresholds. And when you combine all those things together, the dog starts to respect you from that. And you start to really build a relationship with them. So, like you said, we're not just taking them off leash, the first day, like, oh, yeah, we're going to build this off leash dog. It doesn't
Yeah.
happen that way. It's
Do you
something we
think
have
that's
to,
why people have their dogs that take off on them and they're like, they won't come back? They have no respect for them or no value for what they're actually telling the dog to do?
yeah. Yeah. And that was one of the things that we have on here on the notes is, if you let your dog off leash before they're really giving you almost 100% recall. Every time you call, they come to you. If you let them off leash before that time, what happens is the word come has no value at all because you have no way to enforce it. So your dog's across the yard and you're yelling, come on, come on. And the most owners get the bag of treats and they're like shaking it, come on, come on. And they have, you know, it's that leverage is not enough in the face of distraction.
Hmm.
So, you'll be there with treats all day, and eventually your dog is going to say, I don't care about the treats. I'd rather have the
Right.
freedom, and I don't have to listen to you. And so, if you start on a leash and don't allow any of that off leash freedom until the dog is really giving you almost 100% recall, um, you know, it's a better way to build it.
Yeah.
So that when you say come or here, whatever word you're using, it really has value because you have a way to get
Oh,
them.
yeah.
If they're on a long line or a leash and you call and they are distracted and won't come, then you give them some leash guidance, and
Yep.
that helps to kind of build that recall.
Um, is it lagging a little bit? I feel like I interrupt you, no?
I don't think so.
No?
Maybe I'm
Okay.
talking too much.
No. It's just I'm on my it's on data, so just making sure it's not lagging, but either
Yeah.
way.
Do you
I
want to
agree with
talk
what you
about
said too.
Do you want to
Huh?
talk about the relationship? Maybe what you talk about with clients about their relationship and how some people don't understand what we mean when we say relationship with the
For
dog.
sure. Yeah, and you hit on the respect portion because you're teaching that stuff inside, right? And part of that relationship and respect stuff is leaving that leash on. Why does it have to do with the leash? It just means control for you. You're not able to clearly communicate and keep it consistent. When we say relationship, we really mean consistency, patterns, and past things that you have shown your dog. Your dog is always looking at you for information. They don't speak English, they don't speak our language. All these words that are coming out of our mouths right now, they wouldn't understand it. But if I were to say sit and look at the dog understands sit. It's been patterned with something, it's been built on something. So when we're teaching dog stuff, everybody, whoever is in, training their own dog, when we're training dog stuff, and you're consistently meaning, hey, I asked you to stay in a down position. I asked you to do into a sit. I asked you not to get on the couch. All those things are built into your relationship because every time that you ask your dog to do something, you're actually following through with it, creating those patterns. That's where that trust and the relationships, stuff comes in. Um, when I explain a relationship to my clients, I always say, then I say, okay, then you build on on relationship. I tend to use the word patterns, associations, past experiences, because other than that, they're like when you hear relationship, you hear like with our family, our husbands, and all this other stuff. But it's kind of the same with the dogs, except the communication's a little bit different. But it's the same. They're based off. of past, present, and especially for them, those patterns and associations with like their house and other owners or other people that handle them or are around them, it's very impactful. So, as an example, I take a dog that comes in, for training. They don't have a past experience with me unless they've met me before. So it's, there's here I am. Here's this lady teaching me to do plays. I get rewarded for it, but they're like, "What is this?" And then you start, shaping what you want. Please go in the kennel when I ask you. Come out. Go in the kennel when I ask you. Come out, and you do that for an hour or whatever. Here it is. Go on the place cot. Here's your food. Good boy. Get off of the place cot. Here you go on the place cot. I'm starting to build. This lady's always telling me what to do. And as you build the skill and the level of obedience, well, this lady tells me what to do, but she takes me places, she gives me rewards, she keeps me safe. That trust starts building in. That's what the relationship is like with a dog. So everything that you show them that you're doing and that you keep, consistent with it, accountability is within that too. Because if I trained you on something, it's not like sometimes, oh, okay, get away with it now. There's that, that gray area built into the relationship lets them to continue to push rules and, push boundaries.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal with some dogs, but some dogs it is, especially dogs with heavy behaviors, households, with multiple dogs in it. If you've got multiple dogs in the home, so it tends to be a little bit more challenging, and you really have to be on point. And when you are, you reap the rewards for sure. But that's what the relationship is, and how you build on it is by, starting to train that dog. Even if you don't train them commands, and you lead them by example, sort of thing. It's kind of like, please don't jump on me, don't get on my couch when you feel like it. Although all those boundary things are a builder for the relationship. Is it allows, if you don't if you don't touch on that, if you don't work on that, it allows the dog to make their own decisions. That's kind of where, how I explain it. Sounds long, huh?
No, that's great.
We actually have a question. Do you see it
Yeah,
there?
I see that.
From Ray. Hi, Ray. Should I leave him off leash at home first to build trust, and then outside? My puppy is 5 months old. You want to start with that?
So I would, a dog that young, well, any dog that you want to eventually get off leash, I would actually have a leash on the dog. So even inside the
Yeah.
house, I would have a leash on the dog, whether
Yeah.
it's a regular leash or a long line. You know, do lots of recalls and, reward the dog when they come to you. But if they're not listening and you can't get their attention, then use some leash guidance and get them to come to you and then give the reward. So I always want to have that leash on until I'm absolutely sure that the dog is, you know, darn close to 100%. I don't want to have
Yeah.
to be calling and have no way to give them
I
a little
know.
guidance. So,
Elias is like, do I know you all? I know
right,
you all.
right,
Maybe
right.
you do, maybe you don't. Might want to answer that correctly. But definitely, Ray, um, you know how, and do this with my clients as well. You know how when we have our babies, we first put them in a bassinet, we upgrade to a crib, or we use a crib, at night, and we may use like a smaller playpen during the day, even though they're not necessarily playing or standing up, and then we upgrade them and we upgrade them, and then maybe you think about letting them crawl around on the floor. Most likely that's very well laid out, very well kept as far as like safety, baby not putting it, that's the kind of the same approach you're going to take with your dog. And some dogs stay very young, very puppy for a long time. So I know I think you have a small breed dog, so it's not, it's a little less stressful for you, but the entitlement there may be a big thing. Small dogs, they like to be carried, etc. Without veering too much off the off leash topic, but definitely, like Katie said, leave that line on and start shaping those recalls inside the house. And when you leave a really long leash on, maybe like a 15-20 footer, you can, reel that dog in, and then do your rewards that way. Once the dog gets it great inside the house, you can move outside.
Yeah,
and then, work from there.
his point about doing it at home is good. So do it in the house, then do it in your backyard where it's less
Hmm.
distracting and get a
Hmm.
really good recall there, and then go somewhere like I usually take the dogs. I'm just giving you an example of what I do when I have the dogs and I'm teaching them. I want it really good in the yard first, then I go to
Yeah,
a quiet park where there are no people and no dogs, and I work on
right.
it there. And then when the dog is doing really well there, then I'll go to a busier place, a park where maybe there are some people walking by and dogs going by and stuff. But you always want to start with the least distracting thing first, and then move toward more distractions.
Yeah.
So, so
And
definitely,
if you don't have a yard, people think because they don't have a yard, they can't do stuff. Yes, you can. You can actually keep a long line on, secure it, and go to a parking lot. There's so many places you can go.
yeah,
Side of a library.
yeah.
Ask your church if you can, work on piece of the grass or what. You have a lot of options. Watch our videos, you'll get ideas. Katie has to work with like uh hardcore weather over there, and so
No.
you just come up with stuff. Yeah.
um,
When it's hot, like we're all forced to go to Home Depot.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey,
That's a
David.
that's a good point. What you said about the parking lot. When we're training, e-collar, sometimes it's easier to, if you're working on like an e-collar recall outside, it's easier to do it on pavement because the dog is not as distracted by the scent in the grass. Like
Hmm.
usually the grass is much more scented. And if you're trying to get them to kind of pay attention to a light sensation that they're feeling, it's easier for us to do that on pavement first. And then once they really get it, then move them onto the grass. So that was really good. You just added that in. I totally didn't think of adding that in tonight. Um, so another thing is, I just wanted to talk about food a
Okay.
little bit. If you're using food, all right, Elias, we'll see you later. Um, if
Thanks for stopping, Elias.
you're using
Sorry.
food for recall, you want to start with, rewarding with food all the time. Every recall, give the dog food. And then, you know, over time, you want to do it variably. So sometimes they recall and they get food, and other times they recall and maybe you just pet them a little bit. Good job. And so they're always guessing, like, when is the food coming? I don't know when it's coming, but I still want to do the behavior. And then, once the dog is performing it, to me, this is how I do it. If I'm sure they know it and it's no longer really impressing me, like, wow, the dog is, doing this new thing and it's so great. Can't believe he's doing it. Once, I'm almost completely sure the dog is going to come to me, I start weaning off the food and I use less and less of it. And because I don't want the dog to be dependent on the food to do the training. Nobody wants a dog where you have to have treats or food in order to get them to do the commands. So
Yeah.
it's
Some of
important
them won't take it.
to kind of know when to wean off of it. And, we don't use food with every single dog, neither one of us.
Right.
Sometimes dogs are not interested in the food, or, it just isn't ideal for that particular dog. So sometimes you don't need the food. Some dogs would rather work for praise, and some dogs would rather work for like a ball as a reward or something like that. So it just depends on the dog. And I'm pretty sure Janice tailors it to the dog too. So,
Yeah. Some of them won't take it. Or they'll only take it, on and off. Especially what happens there, sometimes they just get scared of a sound or something. We're not in, quiet country, even though it's not like big city either. But if there's a sound, car turning on, nervous or whatnot, they won't take it, and they'll go in and out of that. So that's where the e-collar helps too. Also, but um, sometimes just if you're doing just leash work, sometimes just giving that pressure back when we're doing leash work with the particular collars that we use, it's enough for the dog to just be like, great, this is perfect. She's giving me space, and they're getting that pressure back, because that's what we use, the especially the prong, which is one of the main gigs that we use when we're doing leash work, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see what else. So we covered the inside stuff. I think that place, when we teach place, is really helpful for the off leash freedom, just because you're teaching the dog a boundary. Um, and the things are going on inside the house, and they can be pretty distracting. The dog learns impulse control very well, amongst all the other foundational stuff that you're doing, which includes teaching them place, teaching them how to heel, teaching them the threshold. You mentioned that in the beginning. All those things feed into the off leash freedom. You have to trust each other. So if there's no trust, that relationship word we're using again, there's no trust, it's not going to happen. It's definitely not going to happen. And you're not going to trust that that dog won't take off on you. And they won't, they've got other issues. They're not going to trust you when you're out with them either. So.
Yeah. So are there any dogs that you would not suggest off leash freedom for?
Yep. And I've had them. Usually very fearful dogs. Some of them do well. A lot of them are what I call sticklers. They stick to their owner very well, but they can be easily spooked. So if they're easily spooked and you take them somewhere new, you can run into trouble if you don't have any security that dog won't take off on you.
Right.
Or freeze. Sometimes they freeze,
Right.
and they can easily get hurt if they freeze too.
Yeah.
So fearful, nervous, I don't always trust them. I don't trust any dog. When they're client dogs, I think, think about it twice when I'm making decisions to completely have a lead off of them. There must be very cupcake dogs, very, 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 very well behaved, and they never darted on me before.
Mm-hmm.
If they darted on me before in the house, it's going to take me a long time, and I'll probably just have them on a really long line, and I can handle if they take off on me safely. My dogs might be a different story. Max has taken off on me, but just depends. And I don't want any dog to take off on me. They can, depends on like where you are, but they can get hurt.
Right.
Somebody else can get hurt. Obviously, any dogs with severe behavioral issues, they shouldn't be off the leash. Aggression, especially, definitely shouldn't be, off the leash. Fighting dogs.
Yeah.
You gotta, you're doing that. You gotta go back to kindergarten.
Yeah.
You have
to address all that stuff before you give your dog off leash freedom. So you need to fix those, work on those issues and address them all before you, just turn a dog loose. And even, if your dog is like, just won't recall, don't take them off. I don't know how many times I could say, I've been walking, several dogs, and an off-leash dog comes running at us, and the owner's like, he's friendly, it's fine. It's really important to remember that, your dog may be friendly, but the dogs that it's approaching may not be friendly. So if you're going to have an off-leash dog, make sure you really have good recall.
And there's certain instances that they're off leash. Like, I don't do this thing of walking my dog in high traffic areas off leash. It doesn't matter. Like, my personal dog, my female, 100% can do that. The relationship that we have, I 100% can do that. And I found out actually by accident, because she got detached from my leash. Next thing you know, I have this dog completely off lead, just walking along a busy highway. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
So that's not one of the places I would have my dog off leash. And we're talking about, like in a social setting, maybe on a hike, the beach. Certain beaches you're not even allowed to do that. But I need her reliable enough that if something does happen, I can get my dog back. So it's extremely nice to have. My dog knows the boundaries. She were to ever jump out of the car, get out the door, she will never run into the street into a car. Don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
Can't say that with my other dog right at this moment. That takes some time to build up and to say you have like 99% trust. So
Right.
in that case, I wouldn't, you just have to think about, just be real, very realistic about it. It's very common sense, and a lot of people continue to do that. They don't have the dogs trained. They're off leash in the front yard. They see another one, rush up, like right here in my neighborhood. Sorry if anybody watches from my neighborhood. You guys are very lucky. Nobody has run over your dogs. There's, people come in here, trying to avoid the traffic and crossing over because there's no gate, as an
Mhm.
example.
Mhm.
All these dogs off leash, not trained, and they're always screaming for them to come back, just like you mentioned in the beginning.
Yeah.
An accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So those are the instances that no, but I have that reliability is there. The reliability is there. The dog's trained. If that were to happen, we're totally good. Dog's not going to
Right.
run into the street. She's going to turn around and come when you call your dog. It's very important. Very important.
Right. Well, I think that's all I have, I think, for tonight. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, we didn't. We touched a little bit on the e-collar, but that's one of the main tools for really, really, really reliability in a shorter amount of time versus
Mm,
just food training, food training, food training. It's going to take you a while. Can it be done? Yes. Some dogs, yeah. Other dogs, they need a little bit more.
yeah.
They've got to believe you. And the reliability of that e-collar, obviously, for its used correctly, don't go buying an e-collar and popping it on your dog without actually training it. That's not what we do.
Right.
And, poorly made collars are not what we use either. Just putting that in there. But it's the finishing touches of the e-collar is specifically for recall. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Because
Wouldn't
you
leave
have
home
you have
without
the
it.
ability to override any distraction, really, with that. Even if your dog has like high prey drive and stuff,
Yep.
you can still override those things. And
Oh, there's a deer. No, there's not.
right,
Come.
it's such a good tool, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it gives the dog
Yep.
much, to me, it's like, I'm sure they're happier having some freedom, really, to be able to go places and have fun and be off leash. And my dogs seem to love it. So, you
The
know,
security blanket is, when the dogs first come to the board and train, you're like, oh, do I have this safety clip? Do I have this double leash? If you're gonna need a double collar,
right.
because we know they're not reliable, and if something were to happen, kiss that dog goodbye. Now, when they're closer to that middle towards the end, and
Yeah,
you're like, oh, they're doing really good. You're more at ease. You're more at
right.
peace.
Yeah,
Because anything can happen. We're just human.
yeah. So I don't know what you tell your clients when it's time to take the long line off. When can my dog be
Mm,
trusted without the long line? So what I
yeah.
tell them is, it's okay if your dog gets distracted and you need to use the e-collar to correct them to get them to come to you. What I
Yeah.
want is for them to always listen to the corrections. So if they're distracted and you correct, and maybe you have to dial up because they're really distracted, as long as they are always coming back and doing what you're asking, whatever command it is you're giving them, then you're okay to take the long line off. That's what I
Don't
say,
take it off too soon.
is just wait until you have that they are always, if they're distracted and you need to correct, that they always know what to do if they feel the stem. I don't want a dog to be
No.
confused or not paying attention to the stem at all. Like if, you're having problems fitting the collar or something like that, you need to make sure that you get a good fit on the collar and that, um, you know, the dog is
Yeah.
sensing it, because it's easy for anybody, you know, to accidentally put it on too loose or
Yeah.
have the fur down over it and then it's not making contact. And if you're correcting and you're getting nothing, no response from the dog, then it's really important that, there's a time when you'd want to have the leash on your dog in the beginning. So,
Oh yeah.
you know,
No time frame. It just depends on the dog. And some of them I'm even like, for a very, very, very long time. What's a
yeah,
very long time? You'll know.
yeah.
Uh,
And I always tell owners too, it's going to take you time to learn how to use the remote. Using a remote for us is like second nature. We've done it so much that we can easily dial up and
right.
do what we need to do and dial back down.
Right.
And
Without even looking at it.
when
Yeah.
you've never used it before and you just go to a go home session and you take your dog home and you've been home for a few days, you're going to be slower on the buttons than the trainer is. So that's why you also want to have the long line on, especially in the beginning, until you are sure you know how to use that remote really well. You don't want to take the long line off.
Oh yeah. I tell my clients, I said, this long line right here, this is your Denise. This is your trainer. This is the one that is gonna tell your dog, hey, you just we're trying to dart off plays in a little bit more timely manner than you if you're not necessarily looking at them or like right there or you're at a couch distance or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, you start building on those associations, that relationship when they go back home. And that's a big deal when it comes to off leash. That trust has to be there. That association, that relationship really has to be there.
Hmm.
Or it's not the time. Once that's there and things are smoothing, over really, really well, then that's when you know. Sometimes when you take off the leash and they're good for a while, you need a little help from your tools again. A lot of people are quick to take off the leash and take off all the tools, actually. Some people don't use them at all because of maybe they have multiple family members and they have like a difference in beliefs or whatnot, or and what they're not realizing is that they're going to be diminishing that and chipping away at that slowly, and the dog realizes that. And don't take them for granted. They know they don't have a leash on. They know that they don't have a tool on, and can get very smart when those things are not around. So I do tell them, especially certain ones, this is going to be on for a while, and it's like they're so quick to want to get rid of all the tools, including a crate, including rules, and then that's like working against you.
Right.
So
Right. You're going to have a setback because you're removing them too quickly. You really,
yeah, yeah.
you know, you can almost set yourself up to fail like that.
Yeah,
If
that's the
you,
trainer difference. We have to have that patience and definitely move at the pace for that particular dog. Some of them move super fast, and you'll see people, well, why is my dog not moving that fast? Or why is, this happening for them? And they're not, you know, just like us, we're so different. They are too. So patience is key when you're teaching something like that and getting it very fine and getting it not, I don't want to say perfect, but getting it to where you want it to be. Everybody has different goals too. Maybe they're just like, well, I want them to come 50% of the time in the yard. They don't go hiking, whatever. That some people are like that. That's their
why do
100%.
they want 50%? I can't understand the
Some people
50%.
are like that. So, a culture thing too sometimes. They're like, oh, we didn't know that even existed.
Yeah, right. Well, you
So,
don't have to ask a lot of your dog. I'll usually tell people you don't have to ask a lot of them. You don't have to give them tons of commands if you don't want to. But if
right.
you give the commands, they always must follow through.
Yeah.
So be
Yeah.
consistent with that. If you don't want to,
Yep.
over time, you don't want to ask a lot of your dog, that's fine. But when you do ask them to do something, you gotta hold them accountable to it.
Thanks for those thumbs up, Ryan.
So you definitely, consistency.
Oh yeah, big part of the relationship. We drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it,
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
just
and where you mentioned, all people in the family need to be on the same page because,
would be nice, yes.
many families, I always ask before doing the board and train, is everyone on board with the training? Because it's so important that everybody is doing the same thing with the dog. Otherwise, it's not
Yeah,
fair to them. Really, they don't
right.
know what is expected of them. If it's okay to jump on this person's lap, but the other people don't want me on the furniture, then it's not fair to them. If you're going to have a rule, then
Exactly.
have a rule for everybody.
And why is it not fair? Because it's not clear.
Yeah.
It's not clear. Hey, you're telling me no one day and the next day I can do it? You don't make any sense, lady. I'm gonna try to do it again. It's that gray area that we
Yeah.
touched on a little bit in the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Max. Max, the Huskies here. That maintenance work, it's not much. It's just lifestyle. It's everyday practice. It's everyday stuff after you do training. It's just maintenance. That's
Yeah.
all it is. It's consistency, exactly. And the motivation piece is what I feed to my clients. Motivation. Some of them think that they can't do this. They think they can't do this. And when I do like free sessions or private things that I do with some people out there that watch, they're doing all the training on their own. Like Maverick, there's certain things that she was trying to tweak for him, like the reactivity, for example, but she got everything else down. Just like you can do this all on your own if you like all on your own if you like apply yourself and get that patience. Like it didn't work today, try again tomorrow. Don't just give up. The training is not just one day. This is like repetition after repetition after repetition after rep. This is like hours
Yeah.
of training.
Well,
So
that's another important point is when the
yeah,
dogs are
it's a
here with
whole different
us
vibe.
in training, we're not doing like 5 recalls with them and then call it good. And we're doing hundreds and hundreds of repetitions of the different commands. And that's what patterns them to know what we want from them. So,
Dewey says hi,
oh,
Kathy
Dewey
said.
says hi. Hello, Dewey. Dewey's one of my favorites. I shouldn't have favorites,
Yeah.
no favorites. He's a big follower and he listens to my videos. So,
He listens to your videos.
yeah.
That's all we need for them to start using technology and telling us what to do. Imagine.
A lot of clients say their dogs hear me on the videos and they perk up and they're like, "Where is she?" So,
Oh yeah,
yeah. I've had a bunch of people say that now. So,
that's funny.
um,
So I think we nailed that one. That
yeah,
was short today. Usually we're like an hour.
yeah.
It keeps them in line to hear your voice.
Maybe I should yell at him. I hope you're on place, Dewey.
The funny part is, that these dogs, they love us. They always know like where they stand when they come over, and they're like, "What are we doing now? Are you taking me
Yeah,
anywhere?" Because it's like you supply that for them. You feed them that. You give them what they need,
yep,
but you're always like, you're always in line with them, and they love it. They
yeah,
thrive on it.
yeah,
They thrive on being trained. It's just they know their spot. They don't have to worry about anything. They're
yeah,
carefree.
yeah,
That's why they're carefree. They're on e-collar and they don't lose their personality. Come on, guys.
yeah,
There's something that has to be said for that. Nervous, fearful dogs, especially on e-collar, thriving and not getting worse. Like e-collar doesn't pay me to say that. I use the tool because I love the tool.
yeah,
It's just something in my box that helps me.
yeah,
It's not, it doesn't do the training. It's like the whole picture. You guys can do the same thing. You guys can do the same thing at home, just with some tweaks.
yep.
Got videos. Katie has videos. I have videos. There's so much stuff for you online. There's no excuse. You guys can have an off leash trained dog, at least reliable, even if you're not going to do any of those activities like we do.
Yep,
It can happen.
absolutely.
So it takes work. It's not easy either. You know, that's why I don't like to show easy videos. Like we struggle. Like we struggle. Like that's real, you know. But the dogs struggle too. They learn. We struggle as humans, and we learn, and we push through. So that's it. It's all about like you just look at it, do it, get it
Yep.
done, work on it every single day.
Yep.
I want to thank you guys for popping on with us tonight. And if you have any other questions, pop them on here. We'll see them after the fact. We always share the replay and post it up. We're posting these to YouTube as well and on our video library, so that way they won't get lost. Because if they're on one of our pages or one of hers, it doesn't quite always show up if you search it because we label the live. So the last one we had was separation anxiety. The one before that was like nervous dogs or something. And it's nice to download them and repost them because you can label them. And if you go to the search bar and look, oh, I want to see the one that she did on separation anxiety. All you would have to do is type in separation anxiety or go on YouTube and find it. Oh, I want to see the one that she did in Spanish or whatever it is. Type, you could search it in the bar in the person's
I
page.
probably won't be on the Spanish one. My
You
Spanish
can
is not
search
that
it.
good, so it'll just be Denise talking, and I'll just nod. And
Listen, I could barely speak Spanish, and I do sometimes I do go home sessions in Spanglish, and I'm just like, oh, what's that word? I'm like, I speak three languages, I could get none of them right. Okay, took French for years and get none of them right. I was my first language is Spanish, can't get it right.
well,
I
it's
speak
still good
English, and I still
that you're
can't get
able to
it.
offer some videos in Spanish. That's really
Yeah,
helpful for clients.
yeah. I
So
mean, even if they're bad, like they're helpful. I know
yeah,
somebody out there. It has to help somebody out there.
yeah.
Ah,
So
so you could halfway understand them.
yeah.
It is what it
So
is.
so this was really fun again. I hope everybody enjoys us, kind of talking back and forth and both sharing. Um, I think it's a little more fun to have someone to talk to, other than just
Yeah.
answering the questions and stuff. So
Sometimes you're welcome. Sometimes a lot of people pop on, and then sometimes no. It just depends. That one day I was like, I can't keep up with the question, and sometimes it's like, hello,
yeah,
anybody, anybody here? But we do it for a reason. So if it helps one person, like that's the jam. That's the whole reason why it's done. Not everybody can afford services. Not or they never come across the page and they see you, they're like, oh, I have that problem. And all you have to do is look up the answer. It's somewhere in there,
mhm,
or just ask. Especially, there's too many dogs dying. Here we go with
yeah,
come on. All you have to do is ask. The help is there.
yeah.
People are giving up dogs, and there's just like it's not stopping. So the help is needed. That's why we do them. So I guess that's it. We're gonna pop off. If there's anything else, any suggestion for topics are also um, accepted.
Welcome. Yeah.
Like, yeah, let us know what you guys want to hear. We'll run out of topics. Will we or will we not? I don't know.
We might. What do you just got pizza? I hope it's good.
I do this to her all the time. Like, what are you eating now? I know, I'm annoying.
No, it's fine.
Gotta love me. Okay, you guys. Thanks, Katie.
Okay.
Guess I'll catch you on the next one.
Have a good night.
Bye, Lucy. You didn't bring him on today.
No, he's just sleeping in the crate right now.
She has a puppy, you guys. She's posting puppy videos on her page, begging for balance on Facebook. Um, Look her up. I put a link when I put the replay on. And if you need nail cutting videos, that's your woman right there. Yeah, I need
All
to
right.
copy your nail cutting video and make one of my own.
All right.
Bye, Katie.
Have a good night.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.